Hang on, let me put my phones on silent because this would be super embarrassing if they go off during the middle of this video. As a crisis negotiator, one of the things that I've been trained to never say, that's been beaten into my head, never to say when I'm interacting with an individual, is that I understand. Because I absolutely, without a doubt, cannot fully understand what another human being is going through. So when I got a message the other day from somebody telling me that they know my cause, that they understand my mission, it set me off. And that's what I'm going to talk about today. So I'm going to pull out my soapbox. We're going to discuss this a little bit. I'm going to let you in on the inner workings of the mind of William Young, and the reason that I do the things that I do, and the reason that I take this mission to advocate for and educate correctional staff, leadership, friends, family, to promote the wellness of correctional staff everywhere, to save the lives and the marriages of correctional staff everywhere. So let's do it.
You are now listening to the Just Corrections podcast with your host, William Young.
Can we just get this show on the road?
Greetings, my fearless frontliners, my fellow guardians of the galleries. I'm William Young, and this is Just Corrections. And if you're new here, welcome. If you're a current, aspiring, a retired or soon to be retiring correctional professional, and you're looking for correctional content, if you're craving correctional content that's informative and engaging and is intended to educate and elevate the profession, then you're going to be in the right place. If you're looking for war stories, if you're looking for an anti-administration campaign to lead a crusade to overthrow the status quo, this is not going to be that. But before I go any further, I have to thank the members of the JCP, the Just Corrections Patreon community, for sponsoring the video, supporting the channel, supporting this episode. Without you, I could not create the content that I create. I appreciate you. I love you. And if you're watching and you want to contribute to support the channel, I'll throw a link in the description below. Or if you'd rather buy a super thanks, you can do that by hitting the little thank you button right below me. All right, let's rock this out. I got a message the other day on LinkedIn from a friend, an acquaintance of mine, and they shared a story with me, and there was something in the verbiage, in the wording that bothered me, right? That triggered me, and I want to talk about it. I want to talk about it because it's a capstone. It's the motive behind why I approach correctional topics the way that I do. And it's okay if you don't agree with me. It's okay if our opinions don't match up, but I feel that it's important that you know where I stand. I feel like it's important that we know where each other stands, so we can push this movement forward, this wellness initiative forward. So I get this link, right? And there's a statement made in the exchange that says, if I want to know what quote unquote real PTSD is, then I should watch this video that they sent the link there. And well, some of you know me, right? And you know that I'm a hothead. And you know that I pick up on things, latch onto things, and I burn the bridge before I understand what's being said. But I responded and I said, I'll check it out. I'll watch this thing, but I asked, what do you mean by real, quote unquote, real PTSD? And the response that I got was even more triggering, right, than the assumption of somebody having real PTSD versus somebody having, I don't know, pretend PTSD. There was something in the wording that set me off, and so I want to clarify. I want to talk about it because the individual came back and said that I am sympathetic and I, quote unquote, know your cause, meaning he knows my cause. I know what you're trying to do here. And I don't know if that's the case. So I want to explain what it is that I'm trying to do here on the channel, with my books, with the podcast, with the presentations, because I have a real problem. I have a real problem, and I take issue with the assumption that some people are weak, okay? That some people are faking mental health challenges, injuries, stress, that some people are just not cut out to work in this environment because of something that they've done or not done. And the reason that I have a problem with it, right, is because I don't feel like in the correctional profession, we appropriately equip our staff to understand and address the psychological challenges, the emotional dangers that they're going to encounter. That's the concept of this whole book, Trained to Change, the unfortunate and unintentional consequences of the correctional curriculum. I don't really think that we address, right, the physical dangers appropriately, but that can be another video, right? So in the profession, we promote emotional suppression. We celebrate toughness. We celebrate toughness. Our dogma is suck it up. We have a shit to do. Is if you have a problem with what's happening, then just go get another job. And if you've heard me speak, you've seen one of my presentations, you know that that's a sticking point for me. And I'm not saying that this is every facility and every opinion and every attitude, but folks, people are still slipping through the cracks. People are still coming in every day unaware of the dangers that we face. And that's why I advocate for adjusting the training, for retooling the training in my new book. We need to let them know, okay, that every decision that they make, every technique that we teach them is going to mess with them, is going to affect the way that their brain works, the way that they see the world. That's the metamorphosis that I talk about. That's the trained correctional perspective that I talk about, because I believe, and I start my presentations with this, right? I believe that the correctional environment is killing us. I believe that our inability to appropriately dress, to acknowledge that the correctional environment, that the things that we see, say, hear, and have to do is destroying the lives of the people that have to do them, the people that are exposed to the environment. And that doesn't just include the staff, that includes their friends, their family, and society as a whole, right? If you will. This has a ripple effect, because I believe that everything we do in corrections has life or death implications. And I believe that everybody has their breaking point. And although I believe that some people maybe aren't equipped to work in the correctional environment, I also don't feel that we appropriately equip people to work in the correctional environment, and we don't support them fully when they have a problem with the things that they encounter. For example, think back to our interview questions, to the skill set that we're looking for. Do we ask correctional staff, have you ever come across somebody that you knew, somebody that you have spent hundreds of hours with, talking to, watching them, protecting them, keeping them safe? Have you ever walked into a room and saw that person hanging? Have you ever had to do CPR or give life-saving measures? Now, I know that some people are asking those questions, right? The psychologists, the psychiatrists, the therapists are asking those questions. How do you feel you'll handle the stress, the challenges of working in the correctional environment? Okay, I get it. Okay, I can answer that question. But if I don't know what the stress and the challenges are, then I'm just going to give you some fluff to get the job. Then I'm going to give you some bullshit response just to pass me through. Look, the research is out there. The advocates are out there beating the drum. We have a trail 1,000 miles long of broken officers, of destroyed marriages, of suicides, of suicide attempts, of alcoholism, of drug addicts, to show us that we have to do something different. And I want to know where we as a profession contribute to that. What role do we play in that? So when I read something that says, like, you let it get to you, or I read something that says real PTSD, with the assumption that you have to be violently attacked to suffer any kind of effects of working in the profession, it really pisses me off. Look, I met a guy in Washington, D.C. once, a fantastic correctional officer, a hero among heroes, who got a pencil jabbed in his neck, right? And I got to shake his hand in Washington. I got to listen to him. He's a beautiful human being, okay? But not all of us got pencils jammed on our neck. And it's easy for us to say, yeah, I could see if that dude has some problems sleeping. I could see if that dude had some anxiety issues going back to work. But what about the people that just hear about that, right? Folks, trauma is subjective. Okay, stress is subjective. It's individualized, and we cannot judge another individual based on what we feel is real or traumatic, based on what we feel is stressful, and that's the people that I'm advocating for. See, it doesn't have to be the person who cuts the inmate down. It doesn't have to be the person who does CPR on the inmate. It doesn't have to be the person who has a pencil jammed in their neck. It could be the person who stands there and watches. It could be the person on their day off that hears about their best friend, their partner that got severely assaulted and got their eye socket busted, and they don't know how to handle it. There are no rules when it comes to stress, when it comes to trauma, when it comes to things like PTSD and depression and anxiety. And here's the deal. You don't have to make those decisions. You don't have to make those assumptions. There's professionals for that. And if a person comes to you, right, if a staff member comes to you and says that I'm having a problem, then put them on the path to get them help. All right. Professionals out there will figure out if they have a problem. Professionals will figure out how to help them navigate that problem. And a professional will tell you if they're able to do the job or not. You don't have to make that decision. We don't have to make that decision. In fact, we shouldn't make that decision, because more often than not, we're making decisions based on our own biases, our own experiences, our own emotions, which in this business isn't good. You spend a couple of decades in corrections, you work your way up to a leadership role, and you think everybody should just shut their mouth and go to work. You're always worried about what the line is and who's going to take advantage of this and who's going to do those things. And that's fine because that's what leaders have to do. But what I'm saying is the reason that I do the things that I do, right? My cause is because this still exists. My cause is because we still question somebody when they say that they're stressing or when they say that they're struggling. I exist. I talk so I can advocate for those, so I can articulate the things that others can't, so I can tell people why it's important to remove somebody from a housing unit where they just had a death or a violent incident and put them in another environment. I exist, I advocate so I can tell you why easing somebody back into a position, having a peer support team, having a wellness coordinator, having contracted counseling services, why these things are important. I advocate because the population of people that I represent, that I'm advocating for, doesn't even know that there's a problem. They don't even know the danger that they're facing, and they're just starting to wake up every day. I have to reintroduce this concept every day. We have to reinforce the importance of taking care of ourselves and taking care of other people every day. And my purpose, my cause, my mission is to save people's life. This isn't about filling a position for me. This is not about diagnosing or assuming that people are working the system. This is about none of that. This is not about getting rich. This is not about writing books and traveling to tropical locations like Columbus, Ohio. No offense, Columbus. I freaking love Columbus, by the way. This is about the people. This is about the individuals and their experiences inside, and they need to know that they have a friend. They need to know that they have an advocate. They need to know that they have a voice. They need to know that they're not alone, and they need to understand that just because they haven't had a pencil jammed in their neck, just because they haven't been severely beaten by multiple inmates, just because they haven't lived through a riot, that the job hasn't affected them, because the job affects all of us. The job affects all of us. I'll say it again. Why don't you write this down? The job affects all of us. The job affects all of us. It affects you. It affects me. It affects your director. It affects the person who's working on the back dock. It affects the nursing staff. It affects the commissary staff. It affects everybody who comes into contact with it. And people need to know that. People need to know the dangers of what they're doing. So no, for me, this is not a pastime. This is not something I do because I'm bored and my kids are grown up and don't want to talk to me anymore. This is something that I absolutely believe in. This is something that I'm passionate about. And until everybody understands that the correctional environment, right, the culture, the current correctional culture is destroying those that come into contact with it, that is changing those who come into contact with it, I won't stop. And that's the cause, right? That's the mission. That's the direction. Be upset with it or not. Have me come and speak to your people or don't. Show my videos in your training classes or don't. Read my books or don't. It doesn't change the fact that your staff, that you, that me, that we are all in danger, that all of us are susceptible to the toxicity, the influences, and the impact of the correctional environment. My goodness, there are no rules when it comes to trauma, when it comes to stress, when it comes to who can be impacted and who it affects. And that's not even the issue. The issue is that we're all so calloused. We're also burnt out that we don't even take the time to really dig into what's happening to our people, to really see what's happening to our people, to really ask the questions that need to be asked. We assume, and I write about this in my book, The Nothing That Never Happened, we assume that because an employee didn't come to work that they're just lazy, right? Or that they want to milk their benefits, or that they wanted to stay home to watch a football game. But we don't really know. We don't know if they're at home because their family's in crisis. We don't know if they're at home contemplating taking their own life. And we don't know because we don't ask, because we don't care. And we don't care because we're too burned out, too emotionally numb to care, because our job is getting in the way of our job. And that's the problem. Our job is to protect the people that protect the people. And that's my cause. All right, guys, thank you for hanging out with me today, for listening, for watching, for putting up with my rant. Subscribe to the show, follow the show on YouTube, or wherever it is. It's everywhere, right? So follow me on Facebook, X, Instagram, LinkedIn, Just Corrections. Get involved, engage, leave a comment. I want to know your thoughts. I want to know where your head is at. Let me know what you've seen, what you're seeing, what you're going through. I do not exist in an echo chamber. I do this because I want to hear your comments. I want interaction, right? I want some real input here, because those are the things that push the needle forward. I'm only one voice in the movement. I am not the movement itself. You are a part of that movement. Collectively, we are the movement. Thanks for listening to Just Corrections podcast. If you're interested in supporting the show, please consider becoming a member of the JCP, Just Corrections Patreon community. There's a couple of different tiers, different options. So check that out. I'll put a link in the description below. Don't forget to check out the books, The Nothing That Never Happened, Trained to Change. All the links are in the description below. And if you'd like to bring me out to speak at your facility or your event, send me an email at justcorrections@booking.com. All right, guys, that's all I got. Until next time, be smart, stay safe, stay sane, and we'll talk soon.